Good morning, Gearheads. This is the 59 Ford Wheelman, and I know what you're probably thinking. Ford, how are you going to do a video about cars when I don't see any roads, much less cars? Well, as it turns out, I can always find a way. Today's topic of discussion, the Packard Caribbean name origin. They've been defunct almost 70 years, but at one time Packard was a very storied name in American automobiles, and it was usually mentioned in the same breath as Cadillac, Lincoln, and Imperial. However, like a lot of the more independent car manufacturers, many of those who weren't Ford, GM, and Chrysler, by the early 50s, their financial fortunes had started to wane. Drawing inspiration from a 1952 show car called the Pan American, Packard introduced a car called the Caribbean, or Caribbean, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it, but I'll say Caribbean. This was going to be their flagship car, and it was a very luxurious vehicle. However, by 1954, just a year after introduction, the sales began to taper off, so Packard made some improvements to the car to try to get the sales going back again. They added a 352 cubic inch V8, which was a pretty good size engine for 1955. They added a torsion bar suspension to it, which was 2 years before Chrysler made that famous. And they had a pretty cool feature that I think would be interesting to see in cars today, which was reversible seat cushions. They had leather on one side and cloth on the other, so depending on how you wanted the car to be, you could flip the seat cushion over and have a different set of upholstery. Also available, which was a rarity even in the 1950s, was 3-tone paint jobs. Typically the paint job would either be a white with a light gray and either usually a pink or a red color. So it was something pretty unique. However, all these features, as interesting as they were, did not improve sales very much, and in 1956 Packard built its last Caribbean. They merged with Studebaker in the same year and ultimately get rolled into American Motors, but that's another story for another day. Anytime I do a name origin video, I always like to try to give you guys the background on how the company chose the name, why they selected, and so forth, and I've not been able to find that in my research so far. However, looking at this beautiful vista, I'm sure it's not hard to imagine that, considering the fact that the Caribbean and certain parts of Mexico were considered luxury destinations in the 1950s, and even today for that matter, it's not hard to imagine how Caribbean was intended to evoke images of luxury, adventure, and relaxation, the perfect attributes for a luxury car. As far as the Caribbean itself, if you were curious, it's also known as the West Indies. It's the region of the Americas that consists of the Caribbean Sea, which you're looking at now, and the islands of the Bahamas, Greater Antilles, and Lesser Antilles. This area is known for its crystal blue beaches, beautiful sand, and tropical climate. And also, if you're curious about the origin of the name Caribbean itself, it's derived from the Caribs, an important Amerindian group native to the area. All right, guys, that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching, and please drive safely, live your best life, and hope to see you guys on the road.